Welcome to part 2 of my Fox Body reassembly, and if we're lucky, this will be the only part. Anyways, in the first video, I mentioned I was going to tell you why I was switching to a tubular aftermarket K member, and I never got around to that. So we'll start there today. So this is a tubular K member from a company called UPR Products that I've painted. And the reason for doing this is it saves a little bit of weight, but more importantly, it gives me a lot more space to run the long tube headers like I'm going to have on my engine. Now, the 351 is a little bit taller of a motor, and it's going to have some issues fitting under that stock hood. And I would really rather not put a cowl hood on there if I can help it at all. So, in part of the way I'm going to get around that is using a K-member spacer. Now, the people online want $180 for a 1-inch K-member spacer, and I am not about that life. So, I bought some aluminum stock, cut it into pieces, and then drilled it so that it fits on top of my K-member as such. And then these two pieces go down here like that. And that will space the K-member down about 1 inch with respect to the top of the fenders. And maybe we can get everything to fit in there. Now, I don't really have anything against cowl hoods, just like I don't have anything against people who build mall crawlers and put rubber ducks on the dash. It's just not my thing. You know, you do you, buddy. Now, if it looks like I took the impact and just ran the bolts home on the K-member, it's because I did. But in an effort to be a better person in 2026, we're going to take our time and do this the right way, which is why I'm using a plumb bob here. So we're going to take the string of the plumb bob and hang it around the bolt that mounts the rear control arm into the torque box so that it comes around and over the front. And then on the ground where the plumb bob is sitting, you're going to mark a dot there. And then do the same on the other side. Once you have both of your dots marked on the rear, you're going to come up to the front and you're going to hang your plumb bob through the rearmost mount hole for your control arm and do the same thing there. Okay, so I measured the first diagonal from there to there, and we got 81 9/16, so a little over 81 and a half. And then here, we're 81 3/8, so we are 3/16 of an inch off, which is just a little under 1/4 inch. Let's see if we can tighten that up just a hair. Now, it's hard to tell, but this was a very precise adjustment made with one 3.5 pound BFH and a block of 2x4. Very precise. All right, so adjustment 1, I knocked it back just a hair. And adjustment 1 on the other side seems to still be more or less in the same spot. All right, so we are now at 81 7/16 on our new mark. This one is still 81 3/8, which means we are 1/16 off, which is in spec. Success. So I know that I've used stock control arms in an aftermarket K-member before, and the internet confirms it, so I know that I'm not crazy. But this is just a hair too wide to fit. And what it looks like is this bushing here is not pushed in all the way. So I'm gonna try and hammer the bushing in just a hair. So I have my ball joint tool rigged up here on my bushings with a piece of angle iron to kind of spread the weight around. And it worked like a charm on the other side. It didn't like slide in, but it was the next closest thing, and I didn't have to really use any tools, so I'm gonna call that a win. So you could buy what's called a scuff plate that goes under your caster camber plates to prevent them from tearing up your pretty painted shock towers, and I couldn't buy them anymore, so I took some masking tape, put a couple layers on the bottom of the spacers here, and I'm hoping that that will protect the paint on the shock towers. So I'm putting the struts and front suspension, all that back together here so we can make a roller. All right, the suspension is officially back on the car. Everything's just kind of loosely bolted together so I can push it backwards and forward because we're going to hang the motor from the lift with some redneck engineering to drop it in. Well, I'm trying to put the front accessories back on the motor, and I'm on the water pump right now. And while this makes perfect sense, where I'm struggling is here. Now, I am not the sharpest knife in the drawer, brightest bulb in the box. You might even call me a rocket surgeon at times. I'm fully aware of my shortcomings in the smarts department, but something here is just not quite adding up. So I think we're gonna have to get creative with the RTV, which I'm perfectly okay with. I just, what's going on? There's a lot of car jobs that I don't enjoy doing. Installing headers is towards the top of that list, let me tell you. I digress. It is time for the front accessories. Now, when you switch from a 302 to a 351, the deck height is taller. You're going from an 8.2 to a 9.5 inch deck height. Therefore, the factory AC bracket / power steering bracket will no longer work because the bolt holes will not line up because of the deck height differences. So I bought some brand new shiny billet goodness, and this is what we're going to be installing tonight. Pull all of our stuff together. Now the downside is, as cool as this is, it didn't come with the instructions, so I'm going to have to figure it out as I go. I'm gonna put you in time lapse, and hopefully you don't hear me cussing too loud. Well, while we sit here and watch me struggle to put this together, I can explain why it was difficult. So this new bracket I got for the 351 is really cool because it allows for different configurations. So what I mean by that is you can do a high mount alternator, which is how I originally have it set up right here like this. But then I get confused and say, well, wait a minute, maybe it's a low mount alternator. So I take it down, hang it upside down, and you can also run it like that with a shorter turnbuckle that I don't have. So I gave up on that because I couldn't figure it out and moved on to the AC bracket. And that was another struggle as well because, again, there's lots of bolts, there's lots of spacers, and you really don't know how they all go together. Eventually, after stopping the camera and looking back at the pictures online enough times, I got it all figured out and moved on to the water filler neck, which I couldn't find the bolts for, so I had to go rob some stuff out of the random bolt box, which I'm sure every one of you has, and eventually got all of that together, got the water hoses on and the water pump pulley on, which then brings me to the power steering pump pulley. And yes, if you look closely, that is in fact a carriage bolt, and no, don't do that because the wrench will slip and you'll chip your paint. Ask me how I know. So I did end up ordering the proper installation tool, and it has not arrived as the time I'm editing this video. So I moved on to running all the wires. Now when you hear someone say they're hiding the wires in their Fox Body, it just means they're running them on the outside of the inner fender engine bay area, which is what I'm doing here. And it's just a matter of putting everything back where it was. As far as parts go, I'm about $200 short of starting the car. I need some fuel line to widen the fuel rails to allow those to bolt in place. I need the correct counterweight for my harmonic balancer, as it has a removable one, and I need a flywheel so I can start the car. Since I'm a hair short on funding currently, it means I'm going to have to go back through those double white doors back there in the background into the wood shop and make some money so that I can continue to buy parts. Now you can help me by clicking the like button or the hype button, and that helps the channel. It is free for you, and hopefully will continue to fund this project. Either way, when you see a woodworking video pop up, just know it's because I'm trying to make some money and knock some projects out at the same time. Believe it or not, this is actually a woodworking channel. So with any luck, the next video about this car you'll see will open with me doing a burnout. Unfortunately, there may just be a few videos in between there as I continue on with other projects while I wait for funding on this one. At any rate, thank you very much for your time and attention, and we'll see you on the next one.